Hey everybody, Matt Crane here. I'm the Celebrate Recovery pastor here at Cornerstone Church at our Marion location, and you have joined us for another night of Celebrate Recovery online. Now, we are going live January 13th here at our Marion location at 6:30. We're going back in person. But for the next few minutes in this digital offering tonight, what you're going to do is have opportunity to sing, to praise God together. You're going to hear about our steps. You're going to hear some encouraging stories. You're going to laugh a little. This is an opportunity for you to get a taste of what it's like when we're together in person for what we call large group. And so I would invite you over the next few minutes to sit back and enjoy this encouragement as we help one another in our recovery journey, because there is hope for you. There is hope in Jesus Christ. Thank you for watching.
Good evening. Welcome to Celebrate Recovery. My name is Ray. I am a follower of Jesus Christ, and I celebrate recovery over alcoholism, codependent relationships, and anger. And tonight I would like to share with you the 12 steps of Celebrate Recovery. Step 1. We admitted we are powerless over our addictions and compulsive behaviors, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3. We made a decision to turn our lives and our wills over to the care of God. Step 4. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6. We are entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7. We humbly ask God to remove all our shortcomings. And Step 8. We made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9. We made direct amends to such persons whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10. We continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And Step 12. Having had a spiritual experience as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and practice these principles in all our affairs.
Would have labeled me a lost cause I feel just like a lost cause. If I were you, I would have turned around and walked away, would have labeled me beyond repair, cause I feel like I'm beyond repair. But somehow you don't see me like I do. Somehow you're still here. You're the God who stays. You're the God who stays. You're the one who runs in my direction when the whole world walks away. You're the God who stands with wide open arms, and you tell me nothing I've ever done could separate my heart from the God who stays. I used to hide every time I thought I let you down, always thought I had to earn my way, but I'm learning you don't work that way. Cause somehow you don't see me like I do. Somehow you're still
everybody. Nice to see you back here tonight on a Wednesday night for our Celebrate Recovery, what we call Large Group. It's really just a group of three right now, but we're really glad that you're joining with us tonight. We've had some great music. We've heard the steps or the principles read. And so we get to come together here at the end of the year. It's just a couple days away from Christmas is when we're recording this and showing it. And so this is going to be a fun one. Tonight is meant to be kind of upbeat and fun. We're on the holidays. I got my tree right here behind me. We're just like, doing the holiday thing. So, but I have two friends with me tonight that I would like to introduce you to. So as I'm looking at the screen, he's over there. I don't know how he sees me, but there's Daniel. So Daniel, say hi.
Hi, guys.
And then here's Lynn right over here. You want to say hi, Lynn?
Hi, guys.
There we go. So Daniel and Lynn are part of our Cornerstone family, what we call Forever Family. They're at Celebrate Recovery. And I was just noticing that you can't really see it with Lynn and you can't just barely with Daniel, and the same with me, but we all have like Celebrate Recovery shirts and hats on. We're like walking CR billboards right now. So we are committed tonight, right? But anyway, what I wanted to do was talk about the lesson that we're in tonight. We're in lesson number 24. This is called Yes. This is the Yes lesson. And it is based off of the step that we have that best reflects, which is step number 8. So I know, Daniel, Lynn, I know you've heard this a lot, but I'm going to read it anyway. Yield myself to God to be used to bring this good news to others, both by my example and by my words. Okay? And then the step that we're on is the 12th step, which is having had a spiritual experience as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And I love the scripture that goes with this. Galatians 6:1 says, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Holy Spirit should restore that person gently. Isn't that beautiful? It says, but there's a warning attached, but watch yourselves or you also may be tempted. Galatians 6:1. And boy, I just thought that is a beautiful way to frame what we're talking about tonight. So first thing I'd like to do is for me to shut up and to I think I'm going to invite Daniel, if you would, to kind of give us a little bit of a sketch about who are you and why are you on Celebrate Recovery Large Group tonight?
All right. My name is Daniel. I celebrate recovery from alcoholism and drug use. Upon going to Celebrate Recovery, God revealed to me a whole list of other things to work on, which is it's part of the process. I started attending Celebrate Recovery about 1.5 years ago now. I had tried to quit drinking and using drugs several times in my past, but I finally got to a point where I was ready to ask God to help me. It wasn't long after asking God to help me that I attended a few AA meetings, but I just knew something wasn't there that I needed. And thank goodness for the internet, I discovered Celebrate Recovery. And I knew from the beginning that Celebrate Recovery had what I knew was missing from AA, and that was Jesus Christ. I was saved when I was young, so I knew what God had to offer. And for many years, I just ignored it. I have decided recently to pursue a career in helping people. I want to be a substance abuse counselor. So here shortly, I'll be starting classes for that, and hopes to make a living someday helping people, because it's not something I want to do just one night a week. I don't want to. It's what I want to do every day. Every day I want to wake up and know that I can further God's kingdom and help people get sober and live the life that Jesus wants us to live.
And that is beautiful. That is beautiful. We celebrate that with you. Now, and I'm going to say this just as a side note, as part of his, I don't know, resume. I don't know what you would call that. Just kind of a thumbnail sketch. If you come to our church, Even with COVID, even with masks and social distance and everything, probably one of the first people you're going to meet is Daniel, who is smiling under his mask and welcoming you to our church. So I love that. I love that. That's in Marion, of course. Now, Lynn, you're not part of the Marion campus, but you are part of our Paducah location, which is kind of a wonky thing right now. But introduce yourself to our folks and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am part of the Paducah Cornerstone. I have been in celebrate recovery since 2011. Been involved in lots of different aspects of celebrate recovery, but the main thing I want to talk about probably is a brain injury I had 7 years ago. And if I had not had the forever family of celebrate recovery, I wouldn't have made it through those first few years. We don't really necessarily think of medical issues needing recovery, but because I had been an active alcoholic for years before that, I had already been in celebrate recovery. So I knew I had friends, I had people I knew I could count on, that I could talk to. And that was really what kept me from probably going back into the active alcoholism. But I've been clean 27 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is super awesome. And you're right, Lynn. I would not have thought about that connection. But it's funny what can trigger an old hurt habit or hang up. And I feel like I say this almost every week, but I feel like I need to say it again tonight. 4 out of every 10 people that come to Celebrate Recovery are there for something other than alcohol abuse or substance abuse of some sort. And actually 100% of us are there for something other than the hurt habit or hang up. It's something underneath the surface that's driving our behavior. So that is a neat story. I didn't even think about that, but it makes sense. It makes sense. So the way that we're patterned in Celebrate Recovery is we have 25 lessons, and then we have testimonies and special events that are sprinkled in there. And so by the time we get to the end of the year, we've gone from lesson 1, which is all about. I'm gonna quiz you real quick. What's lesson 1 about?
Denial.
Denial. It ain't just a river in Egypt. That's right. And we start there the first Wednesday night of the year. We're going to start in denial with the blue chip, and which the blue chip signifies I'm tired of being tired and I'm ready for a new life. And we go all the way from that through the whole year until we get to the end. And so tonight we're talking about yes. Yes. Now I can't, because of copyright law, I can't just share the lesson, but we can talk about the lesson and we can talk about the acrostic. So the why in yes starts with yield, right? You got to yield yourself to God. And that means yielding to his way. So I would love to hear from both of you about what that has looked like as you began to walk in healing and recovery. Daniel, your experience is a lot shorter than Lynn's. So I want both of your unique perspectives. I started with Daniel last time. I'm going to start with Lynn this time. Lynn, what did it look like when you looked around one day and said, okay, I'm no longer functioning out of a place of hurt and anger, resentment, whatever that is. But for what reason? Like how do I move forward in my newfound recovery?
I wasn't saved until I was 35 years old. And so I just decided I needed something different because I had been in the active alcoholism and I had relapsed once. And so I knew that whatever I was doing was not working. And so my son was young, my daughter was young. And so I just decided I wanted something different for them. But then when I got into Celebrate Recovery, I don't know if a lot of people understand the phrase dry drunk, but that's exactly what I was. I had all of those same behaviors and thought processes, just not the alcohol. And so I learned through Celebrate Recovery, the very first thing I learned was I really need to get my act together. I mean, that's really all I know how to say. But it was, and it was just kind of, in a lot of ways, my kids were my motivators. But yet I had to do it for me, And so it was just kind of a oxymoron in some ways about that kind of thing, but that's just kind of where it was. And then after my relapse and after I got into celebrate recovery, then I decided that I really needed to serve the Lord.
Yeah.
And I needed to serve him. And he actually told me at a certain time in my life, recovery, period. You know, and so guess what? I drive to Marion a lot.
That's awesome. And we're so glad you do. We're so glad you do. Yeah, definitely. So, man, that is very helpful. That is very helpful. Now, Daniel, you said something that piqued my interest. You said you actually had an encounter with faith in God through Jesus Christ when you were a young man. And so how did you re-engage? Because now, let's get to the point where for the first time, you're several months sober, several months clean. You've got some new healthy rhythms of life happening. But what did you do with that, especially from a faith perspective?
For me, as far as my faith went, it really meant that I had to get involved. I had to fill that time that I had previously consumed with drugs and alcohol with something more positive. And so that is what led me to begin serving more at church. When I first started going to Cornerstone and became a member, I was there 3 services a week. Like I wanted to be there on Friday night. I wanted to be there on Sunday. I wanted to be there on Wednesday night for Celebrate Recovery because I knew that I needed to stay busy and be with fellow Christ followers to keep me on the straight and narrow. I had to eliminate a lot of toxicity in my life. The Lord had nudged me to make some changes that were hard and they hurt, to be honest. But it was what I needed to dig deeper in my faith and become closer to Him and look just a little bit more like Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing you say then, as part of those new rhythms of life, was you had time on your hands. You had voids in your life, and you just said, okay, I'm going to yield to God. And for you, that looked like getting involved in your church, right? I'm just curious, how did people respond to you? Did they just go, oh, here's that horrible guy, or did they? I mean, how did people respond to you, and what did you do when you first started mixing with such a crowd you weren't used to?
Fortunately, I found this church that was really a blessing. I was welcomed as I was with open arms. They made me feel at home. Even the Sunday mornings when I went in there still drunk or hungover from the night before, I was welcomed. I was also made aware that just because I was in that spot didn't mean that it was okay, that there needed to be change. I was pushed to change, but I was loved and I was welcomed from the beginning, and that made me fall in love with Cornerstone, and that is also why I joined the host team, because I had the desire to make others feel that same warm welcome that I got when I walked through that door.
Yeah.
Even when I was so far from God.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful because we have a tendency to think, and Lynn, you know this, you've been in CR leadership for a while. We have a tendency to think that we can't really belong until we're exactly where we ought to be with God, right? Like I need to be squeaky clean. I need to be like a Sunday school teacher or something, before God will really accept me. But the reality is that's far from truth, right? And so, Lynn, when you yielded yourself to God, you also, there's the E in yes is example. And the example leads the way. And so were there some people around you when you were going through this recovery process, either before or when you were talking about addiction or when you came through your health crisis? What did it mean for people that were around you that were leading by example?
Both times there were a lot of people that were leading by example. not in the first part of my sobriety, but after my relapse, I had the church that I was going to was a very loving, caring church. And certain people took me under their wing and helped with that. And then with the health crisis, it was a crazy time that I don't remember a lot about, but still, when I was able to go back, it was 9 months in between from the time I stopped going until the time I started going back again. It was 9 months. But people that I had met maybe once or twice would message me on Facebook and say, you don't remember me, but I met you right before your accident, blah, 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 you know. And so I had a lot of those people that would just say, we're praying for you, you know.
Yeah.
And then I had a couple of friends that I just wanted to give up. I didn't want to do what I had to do. I just was done. And I had a couple of friends that were like, it's not happening. You know, you're not giving up. We're not letting you. You know, and of course my family was around too, so that helped a lot. But yeah, I had a lot of good examples.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. And so I need to say this too, Daniel. I need to unmute yourself. I accidentally. Let me see if I can do that. You're going to have to do that. There we go. I think you have. Okay, we just need to call timeout. You have got the coolest dog ever. You have the coolest dog ever, and you gave him a bone, didn't you? And he's enjoying.
He's already devoured it. He's going crazy right now. I won't lie to you. Oh, there he is.
There he is. He's so happy to see you. Yeah. If only everybody was as happy to see us as our dogs are, right? You know. But anyway, okay. So that's a whole other thing. But Lynn, I hear what you're saying. That's amazing. That's amazing that people you barely knew were willing to come into your space and say, okay, we're with you. You know, they couldn't solve it, right? They couldn't like wave their Christian wand. The dog is waving his wand, but anyway, you couldn't wave your Christian wand and make everything better. But they just came alongside you, right? And yeah, sometimes we're strong, not for us, but for others, just so they can see strength, right? All right. And then the S in YES is we serve. Now, Daniel, you've already hit on this, but I want us to just think about this about like a why. Okay, so we're going along in our recovery. We're going along and we're praying. Okay, God, how do you want to use my pain? Because here's a big thought: there is a purpose in the pain. God never wastes a hurt. That's what Rick Warren says. He never wastes a pain or a hurt in our life. And so if there's a reason for that, as we're experiencing recovery, we say, okay, God, how do you want me to serve others like Jesus Christ serves us? And we get to the point where we're either going to help with recovery. So we'll come back and help me out, guys. You can be a greeter for CR. You can cook ribs. You can cook ribs. Yes. Daniel's one of our cooks, man. And so we can do that. What else? What else could you do in CR? I'm trying to think.
I'm sorry.
The steps or the principles?
Yeah, do the steps or principles. What were you going to say, Lynn?
Sponsor an accountability partner after you get further along.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a few musicians.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we have this large group time. We also have small groups. So we need small group leaders. We need people who can do the electronic stuff, just tech. Like I'm not smart enough. I didn't know how to do this. Somebody had to teach me how to do this, right? So there's that kind of thing. But probably the most rewarding is just those connections you make and Celebrate Recovery that are friendships, just friendships. For all the programming we do, the most successful thing we have in Celebrate Recovery is when two people swap their cell phone numbers and just say, I'll help you stay accountable if you help me stay accountable. Man, that is so powerful, right? So it can be Celebrate Recovery, or like what you just said, Daniel, it may be that God is leading you a different direction. And it may be in the church. It may be in your community. It might be at your job, but to actually take on a serving role. And so you were talking about how you want to go back to college to become, if did I hear right, an addiction counselor? Is that right?
Yes, that's the goal. That's the
Okay.
goal.
Yeah. And so for some people watching this, they can't even imagine that. They are so stuck in their hurt, habit, or hang up, they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so I'm just curious, um, both of you, one at a time, just I want you to speak to our viewer. Just look at that camera and pretend like you're standing right in front of that person who's shown up to celebrate recovery for the first time. They want something different. They just don't see how their life could ever be different. And for you to just speak encouragement to them about how God can use this pain for something good. What would you say to that person? Lynn, I'm going to go to you first here. What would you say to that person that is just maybe watching tonight that feels like there is no hope and they'll never serve anywhere, they'll never be any good, come out of this pain?
I think the main thing that I got out of it, and hopefully other people do and will, is like you said, the relationships, the friendships. And I'm not talking about men and women together, all that kind of stuff. I'm just talking about friends that you can talk to, that kind of know where you are.
Yeah.
Because they've probably been there, done that, wore that t-shirt and burned it. Okay, you know.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
But that way, I mean, because that's what we need. We used to have, when I went to another celebrate recovery, there was a guy in there that always said, sometimes you just need Jesus with skin on.
Wow, that's big. That's big. You need Jesus
So,
with skin on. Okay.
fellow Christians, you have people that love you and care about you and want the best for you. And boom, here you go. It's just what you have to do. And that's really a good thing, I think, because I grew up as an only child.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't have a lot of siblings and all of those kinds of people except my friends at school to even, associate with or do anything with or whatever. So that was a big thing for me. And I know even if you're not an only child, it may be a big thing because a lot of people have just destroyed their family relationships. So you get a new family, you get new friends.
Yeah. Complete with crazy Uncle Fred and everything, right? I mean, like we make it as family friendly as possible. And we don't, that doesn't mean we always see eye to eye on everything, but it allows us to have clarity about where we're going, where God is leading us in life, right? If you would have told me 27 years ago that God was going to use my addiction as a platform, all I had to do was be humble and admit it, and that would be like how I made my living, I would have laughed at you. But the relationships make all the difference. Daniel, I got to tell you, I'm cracking up inside. I'm trying not to chuckle. That dog, I hope you have something left.
I wish you could see him. Well, all three of the back couch cushions are on the floor now. Where he knows he's got some freedom right now. There's not much I can do.
All right. Well, we better start getting this thing on the downhill slide and land this plane. But Daniel, that person that's standing in front of you and wants some encouragement, what would you tell them?
Let's see. If God can take me from an alcoholic that's blacking out 6 nights a week, gambling his money away at the bars, spending what little was left on drugs, and turn me into a Jesus-loving disciple of Christ who loves to be involved with church and various ministries and just serve any way possible, he can do it to anyone. The people that know me from my past will tell you that I'm not the same person. They don't know the new me. And that's just, it goes to show that God can turn anyone's life around. I never would have imagined that I'd be where I'm at today.
Yeah. Isn't that awesome? That is so awesome. There's a lot of people who've been preached at, and what they've heard is you better get your life together. You better be good so God will take you. and accept you and give you a hope and a future. And it's that negative thing, and it's true. We did have unhealthy rhythms of life that were destroying ourselves and our relationships. So we don't take anything away from that. But what's interesting is what I've heard both of you say is that it's the goodness of God that drew you in. The goodness of God
Absolutely.
and the goodness of God's people. Where somebody looked at you and said, "Hey, you got some hope, right? There's hope," and that has made all the difference. Wow, how encouraging! That's awesome. Well, so I just want to end our time with this, and that is, if they can, let's just do a shameless plug. Can we just do a shameless plug? If they come Wednesday night, starting January 13th, I need to say that very clearly. We are digital only until Wednesday, January 13th. So if you show up next week, ain't nobody going to be there. Okay. So we're digital only until January 13th, but let's pack it out. Let's get a lot of people with their New Year's resolutions in the building, January 13th. Right. So I'm just going to leave it with you. If they come Wednesday night, January 13th, and Lord willing, we're all three there, what would they expect? What would happen?
They have to be open, but if they're open, God will or Christ will change their life.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it just like immediate, like they walk in the building and Shazam? No?
No,
Oh, okay. Okay.
no. It took me 36 years to figure that out, but no.
Yeah, that's right. It's a process, but it's a trip that starts with the first step, right?
And the first step is actually walking through that door.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the most important step you'll take.
Yep. Yep. How about you, Daniel? When they get there, what are they going to find?
Well, hopefully they'll find some good ribs. But if not, we'll definitely have some good worship music, a time of prayer, an opportunity to have an encounter with Christ, and then you'll have the opportunity to step into a small group and possibly make some forever family friends, whatever you want to call it at the time, however dedicated you decide to be. The most important thing is just keep coming back. Like, yeah, that's it. You have to be dedicated enough to show up every Wednesday, or it's not going to work.
That's true. And by the way, if you come in the building January 13th, we are not going to make you pray out loud. We're not going to make you stand up and tell everybody your name and why you're there. We don't even use last names. It's a completely anonymous environment. It's a safe environment. So we're not going to belittle you. We're not going to ask you, what is your sin? We're not going to do that. We're just glad to have you there. And I love what you said, Daniel. I love what you said. And maybe some good ribs or food or whatever. We'll talk. Okay, we'll talk. COVID makes everything yucky, right? It just ruins everything. So we want to be safe. And by the way, that's a great reminder. If you come January 13th, please bring a mask. Okay, please. We're going to be wise. We're going to have some social distancing. We're not going to take unnecessary risks. But here's what I know. Don't let COVID keep you away. Don't let COVID keep you away. We're going to be safe, but you need that first step toward Jesus more than to be able to say that you stayed away from a group of people. We're going to be as safe as we possibly can be. We've got nice big rooms, sanitizer everywhere. You know, we're going to be safe. All right. Well, I think our time is up. I just want to say thank you, guys. What needs to be said that you feel like you didn't get to say? What's kind of a parting word before we get off of here?
We'll say, let's see, Jesus loves you, and so do we.
I love that. Should be on a t-shirt. That's cool. All right, Lynn, what's the last thing? What have we not said that needs to be said?
If you don't have a forever family, you need one. And we are welcome. You're welcome there, and we are open arms.
I love it. Well said, guys. Well said. All right. I appreciate you both. I thought we might finish out our time a little differently. And that is, I thought I would just read the Serenity Prayer and just pray along kind of with me as I read this. And if you know the words, follow along. But it says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you, God, will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen.
Amen.
Well, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you were blessed. I hope you have a great Christmas. And down here in the comments, we're going to have Zoom links for the men. For the ladies tonight, we're probably not going to be able to have that for you tonight. And so kind of look in the comments and make sure things could change there. But we got schedules, a lot of holiday schedules, right? But I believe we're going to have the men's Zoom group. You can direct message this page if you're watching it on Facebook, or you can direct message this channel if you're watching on YouTube. And we would love to respond and help you and get you into a group. If we can't get you into our group, we'll get you into another group, because it's about you and your recovery, not about Cornerstone or our Celebrate Recovery. Okay? So there's plenty of ways to engage. Daniel, have fun with that dog. I think he's missed you all day. He wants to play. And Lynn, it has been so great to have you this evening. You can kick back on the couch and enjoy the rest of your evening. And to our viewers, I want to say thank you for tuning in. And until next time, God bless you. And I hope that we can meet soon. See ya.
I count on one thing, the same God that never